Hello, my name is Isabella Perez, Recreation Leader for the City of Socorro. Thank you for joining today's meeting. Before the meeting begins, we would like to remind our guests to remove all hats and silence all electronic devices. No destructive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated, and violators are subject to ejection and possible prosecution.
Hola, mi nombre es Judy Rodríguez, secretaria de Planificación de la Ciudad de Socorro. Gracias por participar en la reunión de hoy. Antes de que comience la reunión, nos gustaría recordarles a nuestros invitados favor de quitarse los sombreros y silenciar todos los dispositivos electrónicos. No se tolerará ningún comportamiento perturbador ni exabrupto y los infractores estarán sujetos a expulsión y posible procesamiento.
It is 6:01 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Item number 3, Establishment of Quorum.
Ruben Reyes.
Here.
Cesar Nevares.
Here.
Alejandro Garcia.
Here.
Mayor Ivy Avalos.
Here.
Rudy Cruz.
Present.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Item number 4, Public Comment.
Mayor, we have no speakers for public comment.
Moving on to presentations. Item number 5, Proclamation to recognize the month of September as City of Socorro Suicide Prevention Awareness Month.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Good evening. It's an honor to stand before you today virtually to introduce a proclamation in recognition of Suicide Awareness Month. This is a time for us to acknowledge the importance of mental health and to unite in support of those facing mental illness. Every year, millions struggle with mental health challenges, and suicide remains a heartbreaking reality for far too many. It is the second-hand leading cause of death for young people, and thousands of lives are lost each year to untreated mental illness. These aren't just statistics, but they are also people, our friends, our family, and neighbors in our community. Today, we reaffirm our community's commitment to ending the stigma around mental health and ensuring that resources and support are available for everyone who needs them. We proudly recognize the National Alliance on Mental Illness for their tireless work in advocating for mental health education and services, reminding us that seeking help is a strength and not a weakness. By adopting this proclamation, we pledge to stand by those affected by mental illness and to make mental health care a priority in our community. Together, we can break the silence, provide hope, and save lives. There with you in person is the Executive Director for NAMI of El Paso, Isidro Torres, who is going to share a few words regarding the upcoming NAMI Walk, as well as the conference this year. Thank you for attending, Isidro.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. It is a pleasure to be here with you again today for this proclamation. It is definitely, as Victor pointed out, a very important month as we bring awareness to suicide. Suicide continues to be the 12th overall leading cause of death across all demographics, but when we talk about youth and other demographics, it is one of the leading causes of death. Last week, the U.S. Surgeon General released an advisory, something that we probably all knew, about the mental health crisis that our parents are facing in navigating our world. And of course, our youth are also going through a mental health crisis and continue to need tremendous support and access to mental health care. And so we are very grateful for Victor, his staff, and their partnership and our work with the City of Socorro to be able to bring that awareness and that conversation here to the City of Socorro. I came to you last year as a resident of El Paso, but I come to you this year as a proud, once again, resident of Socorro. And so really grateful to be standing along here with you and our community to really bring this awareness. We know, above all, that the mental health condition and the conversation is important 46% of those who died by suicide had a mental health condition, and 90% of those had symptoms of a mental health condition. And so our work at NAMI El Paso is really to educate and bring awareness to our community, to help support them through their journey of mental health conditions before it is too late. And so that is why we have so many presentations, classes, and support groups, many of which we've done here with your City of Socorro staff. I'm very grateful for that. As Victor mentioned, our largest fundraiser and the largest mental health awareness event in the region will be taking place October 19th at Ascarete Park, and that is our NAMI Walks. It is a free 5K walk that takes place where we bring our community and provide a positive platform to have these conversations. Too often we talk about mental health and mental health conditions when crisis has struck or is about to strike. And so this is a wonderful way to bring family members, loved ones to talk about it. We were very grateful to have some of your city staff there last year and some of the Socorro residents join us for the walk, and we'll hope you'll join us again October 19th. Another wonderful news is for the first time in NAMI Texas's history, our state organization, they will be hosting their mental health conference in El Paso and celebrating their 40th anniversary. And so we expect over 400 individuals to come into our region November 7th through the 9th to talk about mental health, bring awareness to mental health, support one another, and again, advocate and ensure access to care, to support, and to resources that individuals need, again, before it is too late. And so again, my gratitude to Victor and his staff and Mayor, Council for your continued support around mental health here in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia?
We're going to make a floor amendment. Mr. Martinez?
Mayor and Council, Jim Martinez, City Attorney. I wish to announce one amendment to the consent agenda, if that's the next item Council is going to address. The one revision to the consent agenda. For item number 9, there's a revision to a floor amendment to the ordinance. Immediately before Roman numeral 2, we are adding the following in all caps. The tax rate will quote, the tax rate will effectively be raised by 2.6836% and will raise taxes for maintenance and operations on a $100,000 home by approximately $14.66. End quote.
Make a motion.
Second. Let's say motion to approve.
Motion to approve, I'm sorry?
With the revision.
With the revisions.
Second.
For item number 9. Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz. And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to make another thing. I would like to move item 37 after consent agenda.
No, they're not here?
So we don't have the auditors here yet, so it's not necessary at this time.
Okay.
So we did consent agenda, or was it just that 9?
That was it.
It was just item number 9.
Just number 9, okay. Moving on to consent agenda, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Regular agenda, public hearing and ordinances. Item number 18, public hearing of an ordinance approving a preliminary and final plat for NIT subdivision being tracks 11-B-1, 11-B-3, Robert E. Nix Survey Number 302, Socorro, Texas, and variance request for a 50-foot to 0 maximum allowable building height and reduced parking space requirements of 1 space per 400 square feet of net leasable office space and 1 space per 5,000 square feet of net leasable warehouse area. It is 6:10 p.m. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
Anybody in the audience, would you like to speak on this item? As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 6:11 p.m. Item number 19, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving a preliminary and final plat for NIT subdivision being tracks 11-B-1, 11-B-3, Robert E. Next Survey number 302, Socorro, Texas, and variance request for a 50-foot to 0 maximum allowable building height and reduced parking space requirements of 1 space per 400 square feet of net leasable office space and 1 space per 5,000 square feet of net leasable warehouse area.
Motion to approve.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jose Botello, planner with the City of Socorro. Item number 19 on the agenda is the NIT subdivision preliminary plat, final plat, and variance request. So some general information on this case. The property owners are Garcia Family Grantors Irrevocable Trust. The representative is Mr. Jorge Azcarate from the CEA Group. The lot size is 31.24 acres. The zoning for the property is ICMUD, and the property is currently vacant. And so the summary of the request is for approval of a preliminary plat, final plat, and variance request for NIT subdivision. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat, final plat, and variance request for a 50-foot maximum allowable building height, and reduced parking space requirements of 1 space per 400 square feet of net leasable office space and 1 space per 5,000 square feet of net leasable warehouse area for NIT subdivision, with the condition that the applicant submit the approved subdivision improvement plans from Lower Valley Water District, TCEQ, and El Paso County ESD number 2 prior to recording of the final plat, which is in accordance with section 38-9.3 final plat criteria for approval, subsection 1C, and section 38-13.2 subdivision improvement plans application contents. And the Planning and Zoning Commissioners recommended approval of the preliminary final plat and variance request at their meeting on August 6th of 2024. And so on the next slide, you'll see the location map. This property is situated along I-10. You'll see the thick purple line, that's our city limits. So this property is right within our city limits. The next slide, you'll see the zoning map. The purple overlay means the ICMUD zoning district, followed by some pictures of the property taken from Gateway West Boulevard. And then you'll see an aerial image with the property outlined in a thick yellow line. This is one of the pages from the traffic impact analysis that was submitted to us as part of the requirements for these developments. Followed by page 2 of 3. This is looking at the existing AM peak hour traffic counts for certain areas that might impact traffic, and then followed by the 2025 proposed AM peak hour numbers for the traffic counts. And then you'll see the development schedule. I believe this development is scheduled to be completed late 2025. And then you'll see the preliminary plat with the contours, showing some of the contours, and followed by the final plat. And so once again, the request is for approval of a preliminary plat, final plat, and variance request for NIT subdivision. And at this time, staff can answer any questions. We also have Mr. Jorge Azcarate available via Zoom to answer any questions as well.
I have a question.
Mr. Cruz?
Mr. Botello, for the industrial development that we're currently seeing right now in the city of Socorro, have you received any complaints on behalf of the applicants or their engineering department heads that are working on these projects, have you received any complaints about the lag in time from EP Electric for the installation of infrastructure and the setting up of those large components?
I have not, but I am aware that for anything with, Paso Electric, there is a bit of a wait time, but staff has not received any complaints.
Because, and they don't need to be formal. It can just be any kind of concern or complaint that they have, because what's happening is we're allowing all this development to come into the city of Socorro, and we have deadlines that need to be met. They have deadlines that need to be met, but at the end of the day, EP Electric needs to make a stronger effort to fulfill the expectations of these projects, and I think, we're a year out on this one right here. But I think that we also need to do good by the people that are developing in our city as well, and maybe set up some meetings with EP Electric to understand better what the issues are. I know that it's being managed by a corporation that's outside of El Paso, and maybe they don't see or understand what's happening here and how it's affecting development in our city. We are the fastest growing city right now in the county, and so I want to do right by them as well. But that was the only question and comments that I had.
Understood. Thank you.
Ms. Villalobos?
And if that meeting takes place, when it does, would you just ask them if we have the electrical infrastructure for these companies to come in here? It was brought up today, was discussing that today. And, these are the things that we probably don't think about regularly. But if we have these large corporations coming in here with, large warehouses or whatnot, are we going to be able to sustain the electricity and not it affect our residents? That's a good question to ask. All right.
Will do. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 20, public hearing of an ordinance approving the master plan for NIT Industrial being tracks 11B1, 11B3, Robert E. Nix Survey, number 302, Socorro, Texas. It is 6:18 p.m. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
Would anybody like to speak on this item? Okay, as there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 6:19 p.m. Item number 21, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving the master plan for NIT Industrial being tracks 11B1, 11B3, Robert E. Nix Survey, number 302, Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve. Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Item number 21 on the agenda is the NIT Industrial Master Plan. So this master plan is tied to the previous item. It is a requirement under our municipal code section 38-7.3. A master plan is required when development is proposing a zoning change of a property over 5 acres in size. And so this property was previously rezoned to ICMUD, which prompted this this need to present a master plan. And so staff recommends approval of the master plan for NIT Industrial. The Planning and Zoning Commissioners recommended approval of the master plan as well at their August 6, 2024 meeting. And so similar to the previous item, you'll see the property is situated along I-10, followed by the zoning map showing the current zoning designation, which is ICMUD, and pictures of the property. The property is currently vacant. And then you'll see the aerial image. You'll see the close proximity to I-10 for this development. as well as the traffic impact analysis that's requirements for these types of developments and the development schedule that you saw previously. And this is the development plan that was submitted to our department showing what the intent is for the NIT subdivision, which is to establish two warehouses. You see the detention pond towards the front, abutting Gateway East Boulevard. And so once again, the request is for approval of a master plan for NIT industrial subdivision. And at this time, staff can answer any questions. We also have Mr. Jorge Azcarate available via Zoom to answer any questions as well.
Questions, comments?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 22, public hearing of an ordinance approving a proposed amendment to the City of Socorro's master plan and rezoning olive tracts ID 1D1, 1D2, 4A, 4A2, A, 4B, and 5A, Block 6, Socorro Grant, located southeast of Inglewood Drive and Nevares Road, Socorro, Texas, from A1 agricultural to ICMUD industrial commercial mixed-use developments with a variance request to allow an ICMUD zoning district less than the required 10 acres for commercial development. It is 6:22 p.m. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
Would anybody like to speak on this item? Okay, as there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 6:23 p.m. Item number 23, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving a proposed amendment to the City of Socorro's master plan and rezoning all of tracts 1D1, 1D2, 4A, 4A2A, 4B, and 5A, Block 6, Socorro Grant, located southeast of Inglewood Drive and Nevares Road, Socorro, Texas, from A1 agricultural to ICMUD industrial commercial mixed-use developments with a variance request to allow an ICMUD zoning district less than the required 10 acres for commercial development.
Motion to deny? Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jose Botello, once again, planner with the City of Socorro. Item number 23 on the agenda is the rezoning request for Inglewood Industrial. So some general information on this request. The property owner is RE Foundation LLC. The representative is Ms. Lynette Nevares from TRE and Associates. The lot size for this development is 8.048 acres. The zoning for the property is currently A1, which is agricultural. Current land use is vacant. The future land use map had this area listed as agricultural land. And the summary of the request for approval of a rezoning of a property from A1 to ICMUD, with a variance request to allow for an ICMUD zoning district less than the required 10 acres to allow for a development of industrial/commercial buildings. Staff did recommend denial, of the rezoning request for Inglewood Industrial. Planning and zoning, the commissioners recommended approval of the rezoning and variance request at their May 21st, 2024 meeting. And so in the location map, you'll see that this property is situated right along our city limits. The larger portion of this development is situated in El Paso. So the 8.048 acres are what you see hatched within the circle. And so in the zoning map, you'll see the current zoning designation, which is A1. To the south is Valle Nuevo subdivision. It's currently under construction. And these are some of the pictures of the property taken from Nevares Road, followed by the aerial image. The property is situated right along North Loop, within close proximity to Inglewood Drive. And so this is a public notice map. A notification was sent to our constituents in both English and Spanish, and these are the properties that were notified for the rezoning request. And in the next slide, you'll see the development plan, which shows what the intent is for this development. So the portion for the city of Socorro has what would be parking for the trailers for this development. And this is part of the traffic impact analysis that was submitted to our department, looking at some of the intersections that would be affected or would be affected by this development, followed by some reports for the level of service for some of these intersections. And I don't know if you can see the print, but under the recommendations, it states that for Americas Avenue southbound and northbound on North Loop Drive, both sides of the intersection going southbound and northbound need to be optimized to assist in creating favorable level of service in all movements and in the intersection as a whole. And then the other recommendation on the lower part at Nevares Road and Alameda Avenue, it says that Nevares Road would need to be analyzed in a separate analysis to see what feasible strategies could be utilized at the intersection to improve the southbound left turn level of service. The roadway and the intersection is not favorable for heavy freight truck traffic and is not anticipated freight truck traffic from the development will be utilizing the intersection. And so once again, the summary of the requests for approval of rezoning of a property from A1 to ICMUD with a variance request to allow for an ICMUD zoning district less than the required 10 acres to allow for the development of industrial/commercial buildings. And at this time, staff can answer any questions. We also have Ms. Lynette Nevares from Trade Associates present to answer any questions as well.
Mr. Garcia?
Thank you. So this falls under my district. And the thing is that we already have a lot of traffic. Now we're going to add truck traffic to this. And the thing about it is not all of it is not in our area. Some of it does fall in El Paso. I see that. Now, first of all, I'm sad at our P&Z for passing this. I really do take our staffs and our commissioners' recommendations seriously. And that's when I saw this, I was very curious. And it's less than 10 acres, as our director does say. Now, there's already the thing about it. Did you get any feedback from our new residents?
No. So the thing is that
well, let me tell you why. Because the houses aren't even up yet, right? So we don't even give them a chance to speak. Now, that's unfair to our residents in District 2. So it is what it is. And that's why I made the motion to deny it, because they need to have a say in what that's going to happen in their district. And those homes are going up quick. They're beautiful homes. Our district is exploding. Socorro is exploding. But do we want to be known as a truck capital of the world? Is what I want to ask you guys. Because this is something that we shouldn't let happen, because guess what? I drive to North Loop every day, and if I get off at work 15 to 20 minutes early, it's going to take me an extra 20 minutes to get home because of North Loop and because of Nuevo Hueco tanks. So we have to be really cautious on what we're approving, and I thank you, Mr. Otero, for doing your diligent work, because I do trust my staff to tell me exactly what's happening, and this is a great example of what you guys do your work. But I am saddened at our commissioners for allowing this, because I guess none of them live in District 2, and they don't know that all the houses there are brand new. So how are they? I mean, mail is not set up yet. So so that's why you didn't get a response. So with that, I'll get off my soapbox. Thank you.
Mr. Cruz?
Yeah, I was kind of along those lines. I kind of share the same passion as Mr. Garcia, but public notice was sent out to empty homes. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, so at the time the application came to our department, the Valle Nuevo development was still underway. There weren't any homes being built at the moment. And so as time progressed, the applicants postponed the items. So we are seeing the development of these residents come into the area. And so that's why you see, if I go back to the public notice map, you'll see a large property, and that's because that was prior to the development unfolding.
Okay, and I know sometimes this happens where two projects may not be aligned with one another, one being commercial and the other residential. But at the same time, I kind of have to side with our residents and or those that are non-existent at the time. I just feel that there was some confusion when I saw the denial from our staff and then the approval from P&Z. Did they not understand the concerns that our staff had, or what do you would attribute to that? What do you think, Mr. Boteo?
So I believe what they saw was that there was no commercial, or there was no building. The warehouses were not within the city of Socorro. So what you're seeing is the parking lot only, and they felt that it wasn't going to be much of an impact because of that. But looking at the larger picture and looking at the traffic impact analysis that was submitted, the recommendations that were provided on the presentation, it confirms that that the traffic on North Loop is overwhelming, and so they didn't see the larger picture in this case.
Understood. Thank you.
Ms. Villalobos?
So aside from not being over the 10 acres, they're asking for a variance because it's smaller than the 10 acres. But also it's stating here the road is not equipped at this time for, I guess, the driving and the turning of these large vehicles, right? And I tend to agree that is, that we have new residents and they have no say-so. So if we were to deny this tonight, and they were to be able to, I guess we can't correct either one, and come back with this item, it would be a year from now?
Correct, yes. So applicants do have to wait a full year to reapply for the same zoning being requested, or they can reapply after 6 months to a different zoning district with a double fee.
And so my question to Jim is, Jim, I know we've designated this area to be commercial, mainly commercial. I mean, we have residential homes on both sides of the road, but solely on what we're looking at, we could deny on this even though we did zone this as commercial?
Yes, your staff identified their basis for it.
All righty. Thank you.
Mr. Nevares?
So help me understand this. Being that these were empty lots at the time and notices were sent out, and I'm asking because we bought property there. Who's in charge of sending these, and why weren't you notified that no construction started yet? And where were these notices sent to? The contractor? The builder? And what are they doing with all these notifications? Sir, can you answer that question? Are you with this topic? Help me understand.
So what happened in that case, I don't know if you recall, but the Valle Nuevo preliminary plat was approved, I believe sometime in 2021. Preliminary plats expire after 3 years, so council did see the item for the final plat sometime mid-year. And so you'll see that there's a big empty property because at the time the final plat hadn't been approved. So once we get the approved final plat, the applicant acquires the signatures from mayor, secretary, planning director, and planning secretary. Once they record that and bring it back to the city of Socorro, then at that point, you're not looking at one property, you're looking at 218 residences. So
Exactly.
that's why, unfortunately, at the time, we only sent one letter to that current property owner, which is considered one large property. I don't know if it makes sense.
One large property belonging to the.
Before it was
one owner.
replatted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then what happens after that?
So now we can receive, the applicants are allowed to submit building permits, and then that's where we determine the address, go out and do inspections. So once the work has been done for the house, they receive a certificate of occupancy. That's when the resident can move into the house and start receiving mail.
But that would be after that fact.
After the fact, as everything else happens here. Right, what a shady way of doing things. Sir, I'd like an explanation from you.
Thank you, Jose. Good afternoon, council members and mayor. Robert Romero with Train Associates. To answer your question, sir, staff is in charge of sending the notices. The projects are really not aligned. We're not doing anything shady. I disagree with that comment, sir. They're just really not aligned. Whether there's 200 residents, 500 residents, 5 residents, or 1 resident, we follow the process for submittal of the application. We submitted all documents. We don't know what projects are going on adjacent to us. And so I think protocol was followed. And whether it was 1 property owner or 10 property owners, I believe that documents were sent out, notices were sent out. So again, so we're not at every single meeting here with you guys. We don't know what projects are getting approved. We don't know what's coming in the future. Excuse me, but we did follow protocol.
Okay, and I apologize for using
No,
that language, but
no worries.
I would like to get notified beforehand, not after the fact. Because that seems to be the case every time we do something.
Agreed. However, the ordinance, when the application comes in, that's the process, right? You would have to change the ordinance, and that would delay these new developments to be delayed. And in essence, it's like a catch-22,
Exactly.
right? But that's why you have a public hearing, and that's why you introduce it and you put it in the newspaper, and you try your best to notify the public that this is coming.
Can if I may, council members, I just want to kind of also give our side and give a little bit of the history of the project, maybe like a 2 to 5 minute summary. I don't know if I can go back to some of the exhibits here, Jose, because there's things that have transpired since we submitted the application that I just want to share with y'all regarding traffic.
Can you speak into the mic, please? Thank you.
I was actually present at the planning and zoning meeting where this got approved. One of the recommendations from staff was denial because of Navarez Road and because of Inglewood Drive. Since then, we've gone through the effort. My client, the developer, is also here. They've gone through the effort of coordinating with the adjacent stakeholders, with the adjacent property owners. And one of the major things that has transpired is that Navarez Road, the developer is going to build their proportionate share. Right now, it's a substandard road. Inglewood Drive is being completely upgraded from a substandard road to a industrial collector. There is residential to the west of this development, to the left of the page. But one of the things, again, that we're doing is proposing widening Inglewood Drive and also changing that curvature. There's like a 90-degree curve. Correct. We've coordinated with the city of El Paso, with the property owner that owns that industrial. My client has coordinated with that property owner for the purchase of the property to smooth out the curve a little bit better. Again, to widen Inglewood Drive to an industrial collector based on the city of El Paso cross-section. That would be built to full width in order to send traffic northeast, I guess I would say, towards North Loop. So we've gone through tremendous effort of coordinating with adjacent stakeholders, the city of El Paso. The TxDOT has also been invited to some of these meetings with the city of El Paso. We have not received any adverse response from them. I believe some of your staff was also present at these meetings. Lorraine, who's not here, but the assistant city manager was also there present at some of these meetings. So we've included everyone, we've been transparent, and I just kind of wanted to say that this is not a shady development, this is a very reputable national developer, and which is why we're able to build Inglewood Drive to full width because of the player that's here. If it were somewhere else, I don't think we would get this far. And so they're going through all these efforts of purchasing property to clean up the area and to widen Inglewood Drive. As far as the TIA goes, I would like to mention that these streets that were studied do not fail. They have a passing level of service, which is, again, into national standards. So the TIA did state that some of the streets are getting more traffic and that they recommend in the future that further analysis be done. So I just want to be clear because I think that the way it came across in the earlier presentation, it wasn't very clear. So I just want to make clear that all streets that were analyzed will have a level of service that's passing with this development included. So that was a part of the TIA as well. So I just wanted to give you all that little brief background and history of what the developer has done, all the coordination that's taken place, and they've taken this project very serious. They've taken the feedback very serious from the previous meetings, which is why they went to the lengths of coordinating with all the property owners to get this fixed. If you all have any questions for me, I'm willing to entertain any questions. The developer's also here so that you can hear from his commitment and from his side, because I think it's important that you all hear it, straight from the horse's mouth as well.
Right. Mr. Garcia?
So, I'm gonna remind you that Alameda and North Loop are text dot roads, and
Yes.
you will not get them to talk to you. I promise you that, because we can't get them to talk to us.
Yeah,
So
no,
we're trying to
yes,
fix
sir.
things,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna happen.
We're very aware, we're reaching out to them, City of El
Right.
Paso has reached out. So eventually, when the plans get to them, they have to see them.
Right. and
For
they
sure,
will,
they have to see them.
And they will.
Yes, sir.
And then it'll be 5 years or to 10 years before they do anything
Yeah.
about it. And that's just talking
Yes,
to a 20-year resident of Socorro.
Yes,
first.
sir, no, I completely
And-
understand.
Second,
Yeah.
you talk about City of El Paso opening that street, widening that street. The City of El Paso has not put sidewalks in almost 2 years because they don't have the staff. Okay? So let me finish. So they don't have the staff. It came out on the news, and they don't have staff. Socorro has put more miles of sidewalks in the last 3 years than the City of El Paso has, and they quadrupled the budget. That's for that. So when you say you want to widen the street and flatten the curve, that's not going to happen for a while unless you got connections that we don't. So those are the two things I was going to say. And yeah, it's just a matter of time because I know Ms. Colon hit on it. North Loop is not going to get fixed for trailers. Alameda is not going to, it hasn't even been fixed now. They fixed the street, but we still have a two-way highway, right?
Yes, sir.
So,
Okay.
but I'm pointing things out to you, because as a resident of Socorro, because with all due respect, it's pretty, it's beautiful. To you, it's great, but when you have to deal with residents who have to drive into the city, drive out of the city, then that shapes the conversation. And when I know that City of El Paso does not, and they come out and say, we don't have the manpower to do sidewalks, what makes us think they have the manpower to flatten out a road that's a curve?
Great question, sir, and I appreciate your passion. The City of El Paso is only approving the roadway widening. The developer is the one who's in charge of paying and constructing.
Right.
Okay, so that's why I bring my client here, so that you all can hear the commitment from the horse's mouth, right? So the City of El Paso, all they're doing is approving the cross-section and approving flattening out the curve. But sidewalks, roadway width, all the improvements are not done by the actual City of El Paso. So I want to mention that.
So now we go to the North Loop and to
Yes,
the
sir.
Alameda roads that are not equipped for this. They might pass. Oh, anything passes here, and that's the truth. But when I get a call that, oh, there's a pothole, we don't let 18-wheelers come into our neighborhoods because the potholes. See what I'm saying? So those are the things that we have to worry about. And with all due respect, you'll finish your project and you'll move on to your next project. But here, we're gonna have to deal with this in the next 20 to 30 years of whatever comes from that. And that's my piece.
Thank you. Again,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your passion. I do want to mention one more thing, that the development that's happening is within the city of El Paso. And so what we're asking for is rezoning in the rear only to allow for parking. Okay, so everything that's happening is happening outside of Socorro's limits. We're asking for the rear of the property to be.
But Inglewood's in Socorro.
I think like 10% of it is, the majority of it.
The majority is in Socorro.
No, it's the opposite, sir.
The opposite?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the connection to North Loop from after the curve, the 90-degree curve, halfway through that, yes, after that to the right, the other right, yes, sir, to the right.
To the right further to that.
So in between North Loop and that curve, halfway through that point is half City of El Paso towards all the west, and then just the connection point is within the City of Socorro. So we would be improving that as well. Again, so one of the other things that that's going to get improved is the traffic signals. We would have to modify whatever traffic signals are there.
The traffic signals are text stop.
Yes, sir. And we cannot connect, we cannot widen the road and connect without that process and coordination happening. So what I'm saying is
So you're
regardless,
looking at
it's
5 to 10 years.
inevitable. No, sir. This is all based on private money, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
We're
but
not
text
waiting
dot-
for someone else to update
So,
the traffic signal.
and I'll tell you, yeah, but the thing is, TxDOT takes so much to approve it that we'll be here for years waiting for this while you finish your project and you're fine. And the thing is that 5 years from now, we'll hear that, oh, it finally got finished where it takes us half an hour to get home to 45 minutes when it's a less than 1 mile drive. That's
Yes,
what
sir.
I'm trying to get to.
No, I get it, sir. And just to play kind of devil's advocate here a little bit, just to give you some of my perspective too. So every project I've gotten approved from TxDOT takes me months. I think they take a long time. I think they take longer than some of the jurisdictions. Some of the jurisdictions take maybe 2 months to review and approve my plan. Sometimes TxDOT can take 5 months or 6 months. But I do want to be clear, it's not going to take 5 years to get them approved. Some of the big highways that they build take them years to build. But again, this TxDOT would not be control of these improvements. It's something that they're just reviewing, approving, and someone else is building them.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Villalobos?
With all this said here, Mr. Martinez, Mr. Olarte, with all this said here, could we postpone this item and have them come back with exactly what he just mentioned, what they're promising to do, what they have, right now what they're looking for is to approve so that they can, their side of Socorro is just the parking lot, correct?
Yep.
It's just the parking lot.
Just
So
the
if we approve now, you already approved on the other. You're still gonna develop. It's just the parking lot that we're looking at.
Correct, it's just a parking lot. I'm not sure if any of the exhibits here have the line, but right behind, not about 5 or 10 feet south of the building, if you follow a line parallel to the building, all the way across, south of that, which is only the parking, that's what's in the city of Socorro. Yeah.
So because, Jim, because his development, or their development is in the El Paso side, then what I'm trying to propose is postpone it, come back with a better presentation with more added items to it. But it's not for us to approve. All we're doing is approving the parking lot.
Yeah, you're not, the part that is proposed for rezoning is the portion in Socorro.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it.
And if you choose, council wishes to postpone it, it may.
Mr. Cruz?
I think
Yeah, and hi, I'm Elliot Beavers. I'm with Van Trust. Thank you for letting me be here. Thank you, Mayor, council members. So we believe, we understand about North Loop, but we do believe that we're providing a better situation you have now. Right now, it's a safety situation with the S-curve like it is. And for us to, purchase the land, the additional right-of-way to straighten that road out would benefit the traffic there. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be at North Loop, but I'm saying that right now there is a problem, and it's everybody's problem. And we're trying to help that problem by doing this modification. So that's all I have really to say, unless anybody has questions.
I don't have questions, but I do have some comments. I think that at the end of the day, the modifications that you all have identified are not ones that were identified in the original plan. And I don't think the colleagues on my table would agree to approving something right now at this moment. And another thing that we also need to consider is, unless these new proposals have been solidified through contractual agreements with landowners and other property owners there for the straightening of that, I don't foresee it passing tonight. And in addition to that, the issue of the residential development that still hasn't been occupied right now, I think is the biggest concern. And my colleagues are just trying to be good representatives of their area. If that's something that we can all agree on tonight, then.
Those are great points, sir. I do want to say that some of your staff has been involved. I'm not sure why the presentation didn't make it here tonight, but we are showing it right now. It's up on the screen, and we're showing how the exact improvements of what we're doing to Inglewood Drive. It's shown in the dark gray line there, and also Nevares Road. Again, we've included Laureen in these conversations, so I'm not sure how they didn't make it on here.
Well, I can understand that also, but I also have to say, if that was an error on behalf of our staff, like you've mentioned, I can only go off of the information that's been provided to me in the backup agenda tonight, and that's all I can base my my decision on.
No, that's a good point. You make a great point. I just thought it'd be good for you guys to actually see it visually, see the cross section that we're proposing, the alignment that's being proposed. Also, you made a point, sir, regarding the solidification of some of these contracts. Unfortunately, going hard and solidifying some of these contracts require some previous steps, right? And so they won't solidify contracts if this property's not. If this project doesn't move forward, those contracts don't get solidified. So it's kind of the opposite, right? So they won't purchase there's no reason to purchase some of these properties if this project doesn't move forward.
No, I get that, but unless there's something in writing that the landowner has provided you all through your all legal counsel, like I wouldn't know the terminology that would be used, but should the project be passed, we will purchase your property or something like that. I don't know. That's something that I understand cannot proceed unless it gets approved, and I get that. I understand that.
We're under contract with them.
Right. Okay.
And it's Elliot. I mean, it's private information, so I'm not sure if that's something that you want to pass around, but it's up to you guys.
No, it's proprietary to you also. I understand that. We get it.
So, but verbally, I think you're under contract.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to speak on that, Elliot.
I don't know how much I can say, but yes, we're in negotiations. In PSA, purchase sale agreement's been negotiated. It's just a matter of if this is going to happen, we need approval from y'all, and that's what we're asking for, so we can move forward and purchase that land, so we can straighten that road out.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments?
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
I'm sorry, what is?
It's a denial. Motion to deny.
There was a second.
Right, yeah.
Excuse me, council members.
Didn't want to change it?
We're voting.
Okay.
Alejandro Garcia,
Aye.
Rudy Cruz,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
No.
We didn't get the chance to table even.
I'm sorry, but that was the council's vote.
A member of council would have to make a motion to table the item.
Got it.
But there was already a vote.
Mr. Martinez? So there was a vote. Can we table it since we just were here now? I mean, can we amend, change it?
You can always reconsider an item in the same meeting.
Not in the same meeting.
No, you can
Oh.
in fact reconsider an item in the same meeting.
Sir,
Would anybody second to have this tabled with, so that we can get more information? This item tabled?
I'm gonna stick to my vote. Thank you.
So she doesn't have a second. Motion
there's a, yeah, motion dies.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Item number 24, public hearing of an ordinance approving a replat for Horizon Park Unit 1, replat A being a replat of Lot B, Block 1, Horizon Park Unit 1, Socorro, Texas. It is 6:57 PM. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
Would anybody like to speak on this item?
I would just want to add, hi, Mayor and City Council. I am a resident of City of Socorro. I have been a lifetime resident of City of Socorro.
Would you state your name, please?
Irene Rojas. And I wanted to add that our developers here are not only thinking about the area in between Inglewood, but they need to take
Ma'am,
into
This
consideration.
is on this particular item?
Yes.
That item has already passed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to add additional information as a resident for
Would
the
any-
concern. But I understand.
Can we suspend the rules?
Motion
Jim?
to suspend rules? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the problem is if you're going to go back and address the previous item, I think you'd have to reconsider it. You've already disposed of that item.
Yes.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on item number 24? As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 6:58 PM. Item number 25, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving a replat for Horizon Park Unit 1, replat A, being a replat of Lot 3, Block 1, Horizon Park Unit 1, Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Cebotello, once again, planner with the City of Socorro. Item number 25 on the agenda is the Horizon Park Unit 1 replat A. So some general information on this replat. Property owner is the Bowling Brothers Development Company LLC and Fiesta Palms LTD. The representative is Mr. Jorge Escarate from the CEA Group. The size of the property is 31.7 acres. The property is currently zoned R2, which is medium-density residential. And the property is currently vacant. So the summary of the request is for approval of a replat for Horizon Park Unit 1, replat A. Staff recommends approval of the replat for Horizon Park Unit 1, replat A. The commissioners also recommended approval for the replat for Horizon Park Unit 1, replat A subdivision after their August 6th meeting. The applicant did do some small revisions to that preliminary plat and recommended approval for that amended replat at their August 20, 2024 meeting. And so in the next slide, you'll see for the location map where the property is situated, which is within close vicinity to Horizon Boulevard and Burt. And then in the following slide, you'll see the zoning map, the area outlined in a thick yellow line, and the orange overlay denoting the R2 medium-density residential zoning district for the property. And these are some of the pictures taken of the property. The top picture was taken along Horizon Boulevard, and the picture below was taken from Range War Court. And then you'll see the aerial image showing the entirety of the property, which is currently vacant. And then sheet 1 of 2 for the replat, showing the current proposed replat for Horizon Park Unit 1. and sheet 2 of the replat. And so the summary of the request is for approval of a replat for Horizon Park Unit 1 Replat A subdivision. And at this time, staff can answer any questions. We also have Mr. Jorge Escarate available via Zoom to answer any questions as well.
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Just to be sure, I'm pretty sure it's on the other side. I'm looking at the ponding area. Is the park gonna be on the other side, maybe? Do you have the full picture of the rest of the development?
So there is a park within this replat, and you'll see like a line. Can I use your mic? So this. Testing, test. Okay, sorry about that. Can you guys hear me? So the park would be located in this area.
Where it says Arroyos Drive?
Yes, sir, correct. Claudia Arroyo and Sophia Arroyo.
Okay, see it. All right. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, after this one.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Mayor, I'd like to move item 37. Oh, sorry.
Second.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have Teo Cabrera from SBNG to present on our certified public
Ms.
accountants.
Rodarte.
I'm sorry, she's gonna go ahead.
Item number 37, discussion and action on approving the issuance of the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023 annual financial report by SBNG Certified Public Accountants.
So we have Mr. Teo Cabrera here to give us a financial statement and our auditor's report for 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rodarte. Thank you very much for having us, members of council, and all our guests here, members of the city management.
Can you give me one moment, please?
Sure, sorry about that.
I made a motion. Do we have to vote on it?
No, for this one.
For number 37,
For number 37.
you made a
Motion
motion to move it up.
I'm sorry, motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion, isn't it? Just a presentation.
It's a presentation.
No, it says discussion and action.
You have to approve it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No problem. Sorry for getting ahead of ourselves. So my name is Teo Cabrera. I am the audit partner responsible for the engagement to perform the audit of the financial statements for the city of Socorro. And here with me, I have Abigail Telles, who is also an audit manager here at SBNG. So the two of us were the ones that were primarily responsible and working on the 2023 audit. And we're here to provide the summary of the report. Now, along with the agenda packet, you should have a copy of the actual financial statement that is being proposed, along with the auditor's report. It is approximately a 60-page report. The report is there. If you have any questions, we can cover any particular questions on the audit report. What we're going to be presenting today is a PowerPoint slide that contains the summary of those numbers. We'll try to explain the results of the audit along with the results of the interpretation for the financial statements that are being contained. But if there's any questions on the financial statements themselves, we're more than happy to go over them and answer any questions more precisely on that, okay? So Abby's going to help us with going us over with the presentation.
Yes. So good evening, Mayor and council members. Like Teo said, we're going to go over the financial audit for fiscal year 2023. How do I go? There we go. We're briefly gonna go over the numbers for last year, so year ended September 30, 2023. We're gonna briefly explain the numbers and compare them for the previous 5 years. We're gonna provide an explanation on what were the major audit highlights and a few audit recommendations. So we're gonna start by looking at the statement of net position, and in the actual auditor's report, this is gonna be referred to page number 6. So the city ended the year with total assets of 88 million. This represents a 5% increase from 2022. And the largest assets are made up of cash of 14 million and investments of 11 million, along with capital assets of about 55 million. Total liabilities ended up with 43.7 million. This represents an 8% increase from 2022, mainly due because there was no new debt issued during 2023, and it's just a regular decrease along with the regular payments of the debt. Net position ended up with 44.7 million, and this represents a 22% increase from 2022. Moving on to the next slide, we have a breakdown of the net position items. Like I mentioned before, we have a total of 14 million in cash. 13 million of that represents restricted cash, which is restricted for grants, capital improvements projects, including the Texas Water Development Board project. So cash is restricted for those items. Total investments of 11 million. That includes the ARPA funds, some of the ARPA funds that were transferred to investments, and then infrastructure and equipment is made up of 56 million. That includes TxDOT projects and buildings and everything that's related to capital equipment in the city. Total balance of the certificates of obligation ended up the year with 32.2 million. And like I said, it was a small decrease from last year, mainly because there was no new debt issued. Moving along to the statement of activities, which is basically your income statement. Total revenue for the fiscal year ended in 2023 was 24.5 million, which is made up of property and sales tax revenue of about 14 million, grants and contributions of about 6 million. Total expenses of 16.3 million, mainly made up of, well, the largest expense for the year was, of course, the police department, and it's usually what we were able to see across different years. Total net income of 8.2 million, meaning revenues were larger than expenses. That's what we want to see. And then capital outlay, which is the expense of purchasing all of those capital assets. It's not counted as an expense for government-wide financial statements because it's already included in the balance sheet in those 56 million that I previously talked about.
So one way of looking at that, the 7 million is most of that is street projects, so it's what's going back to TxDOT projects and park renovations and those kind of things.
And it's basically the activity during the year. And then the 56 is just the cumulative of all of those capital assets. The statement of activities, there was an increase in property tax revenues. However, there was not an increase in the rate, but the increase in total property tax revenue was due to the increase in valuations, in property valuations. And it represents a 51% of total city revenue. Federal and state grants are up to 6.1 million, and the funds of those grants are used for infrastructure and capital improvements, equipment, and police salaries. The third largest source of revenue is sales taxes with 2.4 million, and that represents a 10% of total city revenue. Like I mentioned before, the largest expense for 2023 was the police department expenses with 6 million, followed by infrastructure department at 4.7 million, and the administration department with 2.9 million. Interest expense, which is the interest on the bonds, was 582,000. Interest rates did go up during the year, so we had a small increase in interest expense for 2023. And depreciation expense accounted for 1.8 million. Moving along for the fund financial statements, fund basis assets were 33.5 million. Liabilities and deferred inflows of resources accounted to 14.6, and fund balance of 18.8 million. If we move on to the next slide, we're going to be able to see a breakdown of the different funds. There was no new funds created during the year. The city kept the same funds, general funds, special revenue funds in their different categories, debt service, and capital improvements. So as we can see, the fund with the largest assets is going to be the general fund, and the largest assets included in that fund, as well as the ARPA fund, are made up of investments. We have the only fund with a loss to be the Texas Water Development Board. There were some expenses towards that project, so that's what made up the 115 loss over there.
Right. The most important part there is the general fund. That is what is available for the general expenditures. You do have a minimum policy, which is roughly $2 million, and you are exceeding the minimum policy there, which is it's a good place to be at the end of the fiscal year. And the numbers are very similar. We normally see that you end with a little bit of a surplus every year, and that's kind of what we're seeing here in the general fund. All the other funds, they're buckets of money that have been set aside for grants like ARPA or some other smaller grants, or the bond money, as you can see.
Okay, and moving along to the 5-year trend analysis, we can see property tax revenue has been steadily increasing. Actually, 2023 is the highest year for property taxes. We can see the same thing for sales tax revenue, which pretty consistent with inflation rates throughout the years. Grant revenue, we could see a large dip during COVID years, 2020, 2021, and then started to pick back up again during 2023 with the ARPA grants and the Texas Water Development grants, as well as the TechStar projects. So I believe there was one new project, which is the Passmore project, and funds were received during 2023. Infrastructure, well, the city keeps growing, and that is reflected over here. We can see a steadily growth during the 5 years, with the building of new roads, improvement of the infrastructure. So that's reflected over here in this trend analysis. Long-term debt, like I said, there was no new debt during 2023, so it's been pretty much consistent throughout the 5 years, just with a small decrease in 2021. Total assets, again, we can see a big increase, and that's, again, funds received from the Texas Water Development Board, from ARPA, that are kept restricted in the cash balances, and the infrastructure as well. That's those projects that are being accounted for in the capital assets. Total investments, we can see the increase there as well throughout the years, ended up 2023 with 11 million, and that's as far as the trend analysis. Moving on to the next slide. So these are the audit highlights. We do provide an unmodified opinion, and this is the single most important part of the report. An unmodified opinion means a clean opinion, kind of like an A in a school report. So it's a good opinion, meaning there were no material weaknesses or material deviations. The numbers look good. We are also providing an unmodified opinion on the 2 programs that we audited, which were the TechStud grants and the ARPA grant. So it's a good result for the year.
So just to emphasize, the unmodified opinion is basically like a pass. So what it means is that we had enough evidence to corroborate the numbers that we just presented, and we didn't have any material disagreements with the accounting methodologies, right? So we didn't have any disagreements of how to present the numbers. The unmodified opinion regarding the 2 grants that you're seeing there, those 2 grants are grants that are federal monies, and they are required to undergo a special audit, which is a compliance audit on the fiscal expenditures on these 2 programs. So as we'll talk about right now, we have some findings. However, the findings are not severe enough to be able to give you a fail opinion. So you still have a pass opinion, which is a very good thing, in particular with the ARPA monies that are out there. However, we have some findings and some recommendations.
Okay, so like Teo mentioned, we did report 3 findings in the auditor's report for 2023. And just to briefly explain the type of findings, these ones are all significant deficiencies. There are other type of findings which are more severe, such as material weakness or findings that relate to fraud and abuse. And just to emphasize, none of these are related to that. We're on the lower range, which is just a significant deficiency. However, we are required to report it under governmental standards, auditing standards. So I'm just going to briefly go over them. The first one relates to internal controls over the reconciliation of grant expenditures. What we found was that the city needed to improve the reconciliation process, specifically over the TechStud and ARPA grants. So this one actually was a recommendation in previous years. I know the grants department keeps an internal reconciliations of their ARPA categories with the reports that finance sends to them. However, there seems to be kind of a miscommunication between finance and the grants department when it comes to recording any adjustments or accrual related to those ARPA categories. So what we found is it was really difficult for us this year to reconcile the general ledger reports with the ARPA grants reports that were provided to the Treasury Department. With TechStud, what happened is that the reimbursement requests were not being reconciled to the internal general ledger reports as far as accounts receivable and revenue. So we did have to propose a few adjustments in order to true that revenue up to the reimbursement requests that were submitted to TechStud. So the recommendation over here in this finding is just to develop and implement a reconciliation process specifically for these 2 grants, and to perform the reconciliation on a regular basis, and this reconciliation should be reviewed and approved by the grants director and also by city manager at this time.
In the absence of
the finance director. Mm-hmm. Finding number 2, it's related to the first one. So due to this miscommunication between the 2 departments, the grants department ended up reporting duplicated expenses to the Treasury Department. Now, just to clarify, we did make sure that these expenses were not paid twice. So these were single invoices, and it was just kind of a typo over on the reports provided to the grants department that ended up overstating the expenses reported to the Treasury Department. But again, it's just a recommendation of implementing that reconciliations, those reconciliations. And then this one, the Treasury Department does allow to go back, well, not go back, but correct those overstatements in the next report that's going to be submitted in 2025. And so that's the recommendation to just correct those two expenses that were overstated in the 2024 report, corrected in 2025, and then just implement that same reconciliation process for the ARPA grants. Finding number 3, so the Federal Audit Clearinghouse requires every entity that spends more than $750,000 in federal funds to submit a data collection form that's due within 9 months of the end of the fiscal year. Now, this year was a really difficult year as far as the finance department goes, right, with the passing of Mr. Casiano. The accounting department and city manager really stepped up and helped us complete the audit. However, we did have delays in the information that needed to be provided to us from the city, and this led up to submitting the data collection form has not been submitted yet, and it's past the deadline.
Yeah, it is pending the approval of the audit today, so it will be submitted immediately after the audit is completed. However, given the unusual circumstances, we believe it was better to have this finding than to try to rush through the audit in a situation in which we didn't have a finance director, and we had the other 2 findings that needed to be worked on prior to completing the report. So even though this is a finding, we believe it's not that severe, but it has to be documented that it was completed after the deadline.
Right. And the recommendation for this one, I'm sorry, is just, to emphasize the importance of filling out that position of the finance director. I know that efforts are already being made to interview candidates, and well, just the recommendation is to continue to do that, really look for a candidate that has the credentials needed, and maybe even though the city's not going to be able to find someone with the expertise and with the credentials that Mr. Casiano had, maybe someone that can be developed on that position, right? And that's going to be able to help the finance department.
Yeah, there are several needs that need to be addressed in the finance department. Obviously, getting ready for the next audit, trying to have a good plan to close the fiscal year, it's important. But just the day-to-day oversight, the monitoring, and the monitoring of you saw all the different funds, all the different pots of money that you guys have, and it's important to be able to manage the different funds and just knowing what's being spent out of each pot of money, and kind of monitoring that we have enough monies on each of the bank accounts. We don't have a solvency problem, but we do have the need to have someone that is monitoring all the funds and helping with those decisions. Currently, there is another CPA firm that is involved in providing some of the management functions, and we have provided also some assistance as auditors. We have 2 firms because we want to make sure that we do enough for you without losing our independence. And then you also have another firm that might be able to do some of the other functions that are a little more management functions. Like recently, they helped with the development of your budget, which is something that is very much a management function, and it's important to have them there. And they were also involved in helping Ms. Adriana have like a second set of eyes in our audit, so Ms. Adriana feels comfortable that our audit is being provided in the absence of a finance director that can give it the rubber stamp, right? So I think you may be in a situation where even if you find a good finance director, you might have to continue working sort of either with us as your auditors a little more than usual, or maybe with this other accounting firm to be able to have a well-rounded approach to managing the finances of City of Socorro.
Is that a sales pitch?
No, it's just kind of what we were talking about.
I'm joking.
It's however we can help as your auditors, we'll provide all the guidance we need. There was quite a bit of closing some of the things that weren't closed after the passing of Mr. Casiano. A little bit of cleaning up going on here and there to get the audit done, and we don't mind doing that. But it is important that we plan for it and ultimately have the right person working for you here, and then after that, we'll see what the next step is. I guess the next step for us is to work with your consultant, CPA firm, and also with the finance department and Ms. Rodarte to come up with a plan for the next audit. So we're already working on what the functions are and who's gonna do each of those functions. So we have a good plan of attack and you guys don't fall behind on your audit, which is something really important.
Ms. Villalobos?
I know this is gonna sound silly, but, you know, there's 3 items that were addressed. I believe there's so much that you have to look into. That 3 items is not even 1% of what you had to look at. And so my question to you, how many man-hours did you guys put into this audit? Más o menos.
Around 500 in total.
And the reason I say that, because I want to commend our staff, because it's 3 items, and one that I could understand was really a little bit out of our hands because of the situation. And so I want to commend the staff, because I know that they work hard, and I know that we have constituents that are always looking at our videos, and I mean, we make one mistake and oh my God, we're the worst. But that's why I wanted to ask you, how many man-hours did you put into this audit?
Yeah,
And imagine you guys put 500, imagine our staff.
Yeah, no, I mean, getting ready for it, answering our requests, and even trying to deal with the day-to-day stuff that was happening in between, it was quite a bit of a task. I mean, Mr. Casiano left it in really good shape. He was still here for a good part of the audit, but we did get to a point where we needed him and we no longer had him. We were able to finish what needed to get done with some additional work and some help from the staff members. The staff members have really stepped up. They've been asking a lot of questions. They've been trying to stay on top of things to the best of their ability. And Ms. Adriana Rodarte has been supervising them very closely, and we've had a lot of interaction with her as well. I do urge you guys to really focus on finding this next person, because it is really important that you get that position filled.
Thank you.
Mr. Garcia?
I'm just piggybacking off what Ms. Colon said, and our general fund is good. We have steady growth. Our infrastructure is our second most investment in the city of Socorro. No new debt for a while. We had a grade A. And let me shed some light on the reconciliation with the construction company. I believe that was Dannenbaum that we had to do so much paperwork back and forth because we didn't get refunded the money. And that's why they're not here anymore. And the biggest thing is we don't have a financial director, okay? So we have the best staff in the county. And I mean the county, because Ms. Rodarte took over the financials above her job as a city manager. And those are the things, I hope everybody comes back to this when we start whatever. And no, we have the best is here. And that's why a lot of things that happen in the city of Socorro, it's not us. The 30-minute argument we had about our trailers, it's not us, it's our staff. And our staff is the best in the county and probably in the state. And I just wanted to make sure they know that and that we appreciate them very much. Thank you.
Mr. Cruz?
So I know that for the purposes of reporting, you all are obligated to present any and all findings, regardless of the situations, and those being some that we could not control. I don't foresee these findings to be one that we'll be seeing in the future, simply for the simple fact that ARPA funding won't be around for very much longer. I think that's been kind of a headache for several municipalities throughout the U.S. But what would you say for us as a city, for self-monitoring purposes? Do you feel that we can strengthen our efforts there? What do you see our methods look like here right now currently?
I mean, your internal controls are pretty strong. It's something that has been worked on for many years. There is quite a bit of segregation of duties going on. There's usually at least 2 people that review everything. I mean, your expenditures, there's multiple people that approve them, right? Bank reconciliations, you have 2 accounting staff that are involved in helping each other reconcile the bank. The payroll function is segregated, right? So you have one employee that performs the clerical work. Ms. Rodarte reviews some of the payroll as well, and then another employee actually reconciles the bank where the payroll runs. So the very basic level of checks and balances is there. The missing part is sort of that oversight of the department, right? The oversight of, okay, what are the expenses looking like, right? Do we need to transfer money from one bank account or another? Do we need to make a budget amendment? Those are the calls right now that you have the most exposure because you're lacking that position.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a nice afternoon. We'll be available for anything we can help. Thank you.
Moving on to Grants Department, item number 26, discussion and action to authorize the submission of a grant application to the El Paso Metropolitan Organization, EPMPO, Federal Transit Administration's FFY 2024 and FFY 2025, Section 5310 program to offset the costs of hiring personnel and procuring one ADA vehicle. The city's required total match contribution for FFY 2024 and FFY 2025 is up to $96,353.71.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Alejandra Valadez, City Development Director. We're requesting your approval to submit 2 grant applications to the 5310 program for the Rio Vista Transportation Program. We're requesting approximately $177,000 in federal funds. We're also requesting approximately $20,000 in state transportation development credits to cover a portion of Socorro's match. And then our local match commitment will be up to $96,000, approximately $96,000 that we're asking City Council to commit to today. The El Paso MPO has released the Federal Transit Administration 5310 program funds request for proposals. The City of Socorro's Rio Vista Transportation Plan program has been in operation since 2016. They have been providing on-demand, curbside pickup and drop-off ADA transportation services at no cost to any Socorro resident that registers for the program. They provide free transportation services to locations within the City of Socorro, to our senior center, and then also they schedule field trips out to see the Chihuahuas baseball games, to medical appointments, and to any other quality of life appointment that our residents may need. The City of Socorro has been very successful in requesting funding and securing funding through the 5310 program over the past few years. Since 2016, the City of Socorro has applied for and been awarded funding for this program, allowing the city to purchase ADA accessible vehicles. We are requesting operational costs this time around for hiring 2 personnel positions in the Rio Vista Transportation Program. That operational request does require a 50% match. We are also requesting capital funding for the purchase of 1 additional ADA vehicle. The capital funds category does require a 20% match, and we have included in your backup a chart that shows you the breakdown of where that match adds up to the $96,000. So we are requesting your approval for the submission of those applications and also to commit to the $96,000 match.
Mr. Garcia?
I like how you got louder,
Sorry.
and you know why you got louder. We've been the talk of the town because, God forbid, Socorro wants to stand on their own. We've been in business since 2016. The LCG is going to spend $30,000 on an anti-Socorro campaign. They are. And because we decided to do things on our own. Alejandra, you're amazing. Thank you. The grants you write are amazing. The presentations are amazing. You're a great staffer. So we give free rides, City Socorro, field trips, medical appointments, very successful. I'm a political junkie, so I get to see the LCG meetings, and you should have seen their faces when they found out we do this. And I'm putting it on the record so they can know that I see it and I know. We can stand on our own 2 feet. We're not just anybody. We're proud Socorrians. And it gets to me because all they want is money, money, money. When we say, hey, let's try something on our own. But you should have seen a pin drop when they found out what we did. And those are the things that people need to know what we're due. And we don't do them. All we do is come every other Thursday and make decisions. It's our staff like yourself. And I heard you had a great presentation with the MPO last time.
Thank you, sir.
And those are the things that we need to find out, that our residents need to know, because guess what? Not everybody has time to watch the LCG or the county meetings or the MPO meetings.
They're very long.
They're very long, but they make them very long on purpose. Why do you think that I try to make these meetings fast? So our viewership goes up when I make them fast, or we try to make them fast. But know that Socorro will stand on their own because we're strong and we're resilient. And people will spend money to make us look bad because we said no. And that's something, come on. We can do it. And with the staff we have, we can do anything. Thank you.
Ms. Villalobos?
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. I like what you said. And I lost my train. Oh, I'm sorry. This is just for 1 year, right? The 96. It's from 2024 to 2025.
No, it's actually, they released funding for 2 program years. So we are submitting 2 applications, one for each program year. And the $96,000 match commitment will cover those 2 years.
Okay.
That's combined.
Okay, that was I was not sure, because, we have a vehicle that we're purchasing that obviously is a one-time thing, so.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying that. That was my question. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a comment.
Mr. Cruz?
Should the city decide to move forward with this application here, I do ask that we do have a strong presence at our TPAC meetings, and we're not absent there. I went to the MPO meeting last month, and there was a presentation that was going to take place on an item, and I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to hear the presenter. He was absent, but at the same time, I felt that it was necessary to defend the decision that this table has made. But I do ask that we be present at all meetings, because I think that it's very important. If we're going to go up there and show face and ask for these funds, we do need to be present at all meetings, at every organization, whoever our representatives are at the TPAC and MPO level.
Yeah. Yes,
Thanks.
sir. We'll make a point of that.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent, Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 27, discussion and action to approve Resolution 800, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the El Paso Metropolitan Organization FY 2026 through 2028 TASA project call for the Socorro Safe Routes to School project. The city's required total match contribution is up to $764,739.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Alejandra Vlades, City Development Director. This is a request for a resolution to submit a grant application to the El Paso MPO's FY 2026-2028 Transportation's Alternative Set-Aside Project Call. The El Paso MPO has released this call, which provides funding for on and off-road pedestrian and bicycle facilities to improve non-motorized travel or access, enhance mobilities, and support Safe Routes to School projects. Socorro does have a Safe Routes to School program. We are requesting funding to provide approximately 8 miles of new ADA accessible sidewalk connections to 9 local public schools, as well as school zone improvements at 9 area public schools. We are requesting approximately $3 million in federal funding for this project. We do have to commit to a 20% local share match, which calculates out to about $764,000 for a total project cost of $3.8 million. The application guidelines do require the resolution in order to apply, and they do require that the match be cash match. I just wanted to add that the development of this Safe Routes to School project is supported by our newly adopted Socorro 2040 Comprehensive Plan, specifically Mobility Goal 8 and Mobility Goal Strategy 8C, and Public Services and Infrastructure Goal 9. We do have a preliminary, some portions of the preliminary application in the backup for this item, but just to let you know that the project is in development, so this is subject to change at this time.
Questions, comments? Ms. Villalobos?
On Safe Routes to School, do we identify the schools, or they come in and identify which streets are going to, if we get the grant?
Yes, ma'am. That's a good question. We are working with our engineers to identify which sidewalk connections are missing. The goal of this program is to provide a safe, continuous connections from neighborhoods all the way to the schools. And so we have our sidewalks master plan, and we are identifying sidewalk segments that are missing, that need a sidewalk to get kids safely from their home to the schools. So far, we've identified approximately 9 miles, and they're spread out throughout the entire city. Because this is grant funded, we have to follow the guidelines of the grant. The grant requires that the sidewalks be within, I believe, a mile radius from a school. They also require, again, that they're continuous, meaning there's no gap. You can't just pick a sidewalk in one street and then there's no connection all the way to the school. So we're following those guidelines. We do have a draft list of sidewalks, but again, that's subject to change because we're looking at how that adds up to our budget. We're also looking at safety improvements in the school zones, including crosswalks where we need crosswalks, striping where we need flashing beacons, or speed enforcement to make sure that cars slow down for the kids that are crossing. So all of that is right now in development, and we'll have a closer idea of which sidewalks it is that we're going to propose as we get closer to October, which is the deadline for the grant application.
So you just said something about they have to connect.
They have to connect,
They
yes.
have to connect. So if we have an area where, we already have sidewalks, but there's that last street and it's not connected, we have to use as much funds as we can to connect it to be able to justify why it's there.
That's exactly right. So we're looking at that 1 mile radius and seeing where we can make those last connections to make sure that kids have a safe way to get to school.
Gotcha. Okay. And you think the 3.8 million would be completely awarded, like the whole amount, or they might come back and say, well, we only...
That's a possibility. That is a possibility, and that's happened to us before, and we go back and adjust the project scope to make sure that we maximize whatever funds become available. But that is a possibility, and that does happen, yeah.
Okay, all righty then, thank you.
Anyone else?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 28, discussion and action to approve Resolution 801, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the El Paso Metropolitan Organization FY 2026 through 2028 TASA project call for the Socorro Active Transportation Plan. The city's required total match contribution is up to $57,500.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Alejandra Valadez, City Development Director. We're requesting your approval for a resolution authorizing us to submit a grant application to the MPO's 2026-2028 Transportation Alternative Set-Aside, this time for the Socorro Active Transportation Plan Development. Our required local match contribution is up to $57,500. Again, this call for projects is for on and off-road pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure. The Socorro Active Transportation Plan will involve the development of a citywide network plan that will plan out potential routes and improvements to provide bicycle and pedestrian network access to all quadrants of the city. The city will request approximately $230,000 in federal funding. There is a 20% local match, which is about $57,500. This project is needed due to the fact that the city of Socorro has been successful in applying and receiving funds for the Paso del Norte trail segments located in Socorro. We have received more than $18 million for our trails projects here in Socorro, which is very good. However, these projects are primarily located in the southwest quadrant of the city, and we don't currently have any planned trail segments north of Alameda. And so a citywide active transportation plan will identify ideal locations for future trail enhancements, trails, shared use paths, sidewalks, so that people can ride their bike across the city to shopping centers, and we consider that to be a tool for spurring economic growth as well. This plan is also supported by our Socorro 2040 Comprehensive Plan, Mobility Goal 2 and Mobility Goal 5. We do have some preliminary application information in the backup for this request, but we are requesting your approval for a match contribution of up to $57,500.
Questions? Thank you.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares is absent. Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ma'am, this time I would like to make a motion to have a 10-minute break.
Okay.
Second.
Second?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares is absent. Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
It is 7:49.
Moving to Police Department, item number 29.
We're back at 803.
803. Item number 29, discussion and action on approval for the donation and transfer of ownership of a K-9 from U.S. Customs and Border Protection to the Socorro Police Department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Oh, apologies.
Second.
Sorry. Now I say good evening. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Chief Robert C. Rojas with the Socorro Police Department. I'm here to bring this forward, and the Socorro Police Department has the opportunity to receive a donation of a K-9. K-9's name is Amor, certified in narcotics and concealed human detection from the United States Customs and Border Protection. The agenda item seeks the City Council approval for the acceptance and transfer of ownership of the K-9 to the department. This addition will aid in the reestablishing of the department's K-9 program, enhancing our law enforcement capabilities. Financial impact is $25, which is a registration fee. And of course, any of the, we have existing vehicles for them. And of course, any food that would be necessary, and pet care, which is already in the budget from previous K-9 program. And I'm here to answer any questions if you'd like.
I have a question.
Mr. Cruz?
Chief, have you and your department identified the associated costs with taking in this K-9 annually or monthly? And in addition to that question, do any of our vehicles need to get outfitted?
No, so previous to my arrival here, there was an established K-9 program that was out of the existing budget. So no, there won't be a burdensome lift when it comes to the K-9 program. And we have 2 vehicles that are already outfitted and ready to go. So we just have to make sure that we're compliant and they're ready to go for the street when we get these officers. And we actually have 2 K-9 vehicles.
Thank you.
Is there a specific officer already going to take care of this K-9?
So again, previously, there was a K-9 program that was established. There was 3 K-9 officers. We have identified this one. This K-9 is being released from Customs and Border Protection because he is a younger dog, and his demeanor didn't match up with his operator. His operator is older in age, so they didn't necessarily mix. So we actually have a officer who is already identified, and that officer is actually a K-9 instructor out of the Customs and Border Patrol program. So we really want to build it around the knowledge that he has. He already has the training to be an instructor and to teach this program. In addition to that, he's also going to be able to oversee the direction that the program should be going.
Thank you. Mr. Nevares?
If I may, it's an invitation. We currently allow the Customs and Border Protection to train their dogs at Ryder, and you're more than welcome to, if need be, to take them there.
Absolutely. So my time at the Sheriff's Office, I also oversaw the K-9 program out of the narcotics unit, and they're constantly looking for places to train in different, whether it be facilities or even vehicle types, so that they can train. And that's something that a valid K-9 program absolutely needs, is continuous training, and they have to train on a monthly basis, and that's something that we want to make sure that we're doing. We're continuing that training and training in different places. So I appreciate that invitation, and we'll definitely take you up on that.
Ms. Villalobos?
I'm sorry, just real quick. You've mentioned twice his name, and what is his name? I'm sorry.
Amor.
Amor, oh.
A-M-O-R.
I was hearing something with an O.
I think he was made for Socorro.
Oh. Yes. All righty then. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? You know what I'd like to see is some sort of marketing on this dog. Let's take like a leap and maybe do something, what would it be?
Like a swearing-in ceremony?
That would be nice.
So if you know me, right, I take pictures and I try to be the best advocate and champion for our department, for the city of Socorro, the police department. So I'm always trying to take pictures, make sure we're promoting our personnel. And that's actually something that we've thought of. We've thought of actually doing in a swearing-in ceremony and giving him his own badge and credentials for the agency. Because In the law enforcement community and the community at large, he is an officer for the Socorro Police Department. So they have ceremonies for swearing in for canines, and they also have retirements as well. So I think that's something, we really want to establish this program and do it the right way. Not saying anything about the previous program, but we really need oversight. And I think currently we have great oversight when it comes to the supervisory ranks. And I think we're going to do really good things with this canine. And you can see it's for narcotic detection of all the major narcotics, to include fentanyl and even the concealed humans. So we can actually help in, if Border Patrol is asking or Customs is asking, they can actually go out and assist where the dog is simply assisting the agency that is working. We get many requests now from task force across the city to go out and assist and use our ability as Texas peace officers to go out there and help other agencies. So it's not, it is primarily for the city of Socorro and the police department, but we're here to help every agency, whether it be Horizon City, San Elizario. We've really developed great relationships with all our counterparts in the law enforcement community.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares. Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lopez.
Yes.
Item number 30, discussion and action to approve and request permission for the city manager and the chief of police to sign the Management and Control MCA agreement with Texas Department of Public Safety and Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, for the Criminal Justice Information Systems.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening again, Robert C. Rojas, Chief of Police for the City of Socorro. The City Council and the Mayor of Socorro are being requested to grant permission for the City Manager and myself to sign the Management Control Agreement with DPS and FBI. This agreement is critical for ensuring the security and proper management and access to the Texas law enforcement telecommunication system and associated criminal justice systems. This agreement places the responsibility for security and control under the authority of the Socorro Police Department, ensuring that all access and the use of the systems are properly regulated and monitored. What this is simply saying is that we are agreeing to the standards that DPS and FBI need when it comes to our computer systems, so that we can actually access different databases that are privy to law enforcement, and this is something that we need on file.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lopez.
Yes.
Item number 31, discussion and action to approve a memorandum of understanding, MOU, between the Texas Joint Counter Drug Task Force and the Socorro Police Department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening again, Robert C. Rojas, Chief of Police for the City of Socorro. So as I was mentioning, we've developed excellent relationships with many different entities and agencies throughout the region. This is another one. So we're hoping to consider entering an MOU between ourselves and the Texas Joint Counter Drug Task Force. This MOU will allow the JCT-DTF to support the SPD in investigations with a drug nexus. They will not engage in any direct law enforcement activities or in the collection of any information from U.S. persons. So what they are is they are a support to us. They will provide a full-time analyst to come work for us, where we are able to use them and to kind of gather intel, to know where we need to deploy. They will do certain types of trees to help us combat the drug trafficking that is going on in the city of Socorro. And they do this free of charge. In addition, if you see the backup, there's many other things that they offer. In the event that we're working an operation, they have access to planes, they have access to different items like that, where they will give that access to us to support us, right? We won't be out there flying the plane, but they'll definitely go out and do surveillance for us in a plane. In addition, if we have certain things that may be happening across the state that have a drug nexus, they'll be willing to fly us to different locations if we need to. They're just really here as a support. I'm looking at it more, I appreciate everything else that they're doing, but that intel analyst when it comes to drug nexus is really, really something that we need here. As you all know, we all live in the borderland, and there's a substantial amount of narcotics that are being trafficked, whether it be through our community or through the area. And this is just an added set of eyes and an expertise that'll help us identify our main players that we need to target. And again, this is free of charge. All we have to do is put up an office space, access to a computer, give them access to our databases that we can work on. But again, they're providing this free of charge.
Any questions?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Planning and Zoning Department, item number 32, public hearing on written charge to remove Rodrigo Arras from the Board of Adjustments, Place 2 of the City of Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve.
It's a
Oh,
public
it's a
hearing.
public hearing, I'm sorry. It is 8:13 PM. Public hearing is now open. As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 8:14 PM. Item number 33, discussion and action on approval to remove Rodrigo Arras from the Board of Adjustments, Place 2 of the City of Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Jose Boteo, planner with the City of Socorro. For this item, Mr. Rodrigo Arras, a member of the Board of Adjustments, has not been present since the October 2023 meeting, and I believe 3 inexcused absences warrant the removal of the member, which is why this item is being presented before you today.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, City Manager, item number 34, presentation and discussion regarding tax rate calculations, revenues, and expenditures for the City of Socorro's proposed budget for fiscal year 2024.
Motion to approve.
No motion, no action.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather, so I'm gonna try my best. City will adopt the voter approval rate of .666900, which is the highest tax rate that the city may adopt without holding an election to seek voter approval of the rate. Next slide. By adopting the voter approval rate of .666900, the city is projected to receive $9,757,654 in maintenance and operations, $5,120,350 in other revenues. So the total projected revenue for the year is $14,878,004. We are expecting to spend, with all the proposed changes that were discussed at the workshop on July 13th, an amount of $16,936,784. I'm so sorry. The projected reserves required to meet this expenditure is $2,058,788. Do you all have any questions?
Please don't.
No,
We're not gonna make
No questions, I believe.
you're speechless.
No. Okay, since there's no questions, we're moving on. Item number 35, discussion and action to announce the date on which City Council will take final action the tax rate and on the municipal budget.
Motion to approve. Second.
This item is announcing September 12, 2024 as the final action date to adopt the voter approval rate of .666900 and to adopt our municipal budget.
Questions or comments?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares. Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 36, public hearing regarding the 5-year capital improvement program and approve resolution 802 pursuant to sections 5.08 and 5.09 of the Socorro City Charter. It is 8:18 PM. Public hearing is now open.
What is that noise?
It's me.
Oh.
As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 8:19 PM.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor and council, item number 38, discussion and action to direct staff to amend ordinance 76, chapter 46, sections 46-628, parking and storage of certain vehicles.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Members of council, the agenda item that I bring before you all today is section 46-628, parking and storage of certain vehicles. Right now, it currently states in our ordinance that automotive vehicles or trailers of any kind or type without current license plates or in inoperable condition shall not be parked or stored on any residentially zoned property other than in completely enclosed buildings. I'd like to add the language below in bold letters stating to include or prohibit parking and storage of inoperable abandoned vehicles, to include the C1 and C2 zoning properties as well, because right now it only adheres to the residential. I felt that it was also necessary to include the C1 and C2 zoning as well. I mean, if there's an inoperable vehicle that doesn't have current plates on residential, it's an eyesore. I think it's an eyesore in any zone, to be quite frank. Yeah.
Any questions, comments? Ms. Villalobos?
On the commercial side, what if they're waiting for part and it's not gonna come in for like 3 weeks? Do they get a leadway or they have to prove, or what does the ordinance currently say?
For enforcement?
Right, or the ordinance of these parked unoperable vehicles?
So the inoperable vehicles in C1 and C2, it's silent. It's silent, right? So it doesn't mention it. It just mentions it for residential. That's the reason we want to add it to the C1 and C2.
But not give them, because a lot of these parts could take quite some time to get in. Do you not give them a leadway and?
Well, correct. So the enforcement, once the ordinance is approved, we'll go through the same process of providing them a notice of violation.
Okay.
Right? And then you give them 7 days. After the 7 days, they can come and request more time. If they don't complete it by that time, then a citation is issued.
Okay, so they do have some kind of a flexibility, because, yes, okay, I get it. Because this ordinance is for those that are just standing there, they're not doing anything for them.
They're inoperable.
Yeah, they're
vehicles.
inoperable, right. Okay, all righty then, thank you.
Mr. Reyes?
I think it's important for the city to post it whenever this becomes in effect, to let everybody know what's going on as far as vehicles throughout the city. I think we've all encountered a lot of people telling us, I've had these vehicles for 30 years before you were in office, and why do we want to take them out? It's an ordinance. It's not that we are against them. It's not that the city is against residents, but it's for the betterment of the city and the betterment for the neighbors. And I think when it goes to effect, whenever everything's set up in place, we should post it, make it public for everybody to read it, to hear, to know, so it can have time to remove those vehicles.
Yeah, and I agree with you, like, maybe we can run a campaign for a few weeks, just
We'll do a
notifying.
public service announcement
Yeah, I think that's fair, yeah.
before we start enforcement.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes. Mr. Martinez, do we have anything for 39 through 41?
No, ma'am.
Motion to delete items 39 through 41.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes. Meeting adjourns at 8:24 PM. Good night.